Okay, everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Ebony. I am a human design reader and coach, and occasionally I dive into other topics other than human design, such as healing your inner child, which is what we're going to be talking about today. I will, however, tie human design into this because I do think that it actually fits quite nicely with this topic, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's talk about healing your inner child or reparenting your wounds. So what is the inner child? The inner child is essentially the times during your upbringing, during your childhood, where you experienced a rupture, you experienced some kind of wound, some kind of trauma or micro trauma that caused you to disconnect. And this disconnect caused your growth, your mental, emotional, spiritual growth to kind of stunt a little bit. So in this area where you experience this wound, instead of growing, instead of learning, instead of taking on and expanding into this area, you were a little bit stunted. You have a little wound, you have a little rupture there, which caused what we call the inner child. The inner child is where a lot of our destructive behaviors come from. Things like self-sabotage, things like hurting other people, things like avoiding confrontation, things like a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, doubt, and fear can stem from your inner children, can stem from those wounds that you experienced during childhood that never got the chance to heal, that never got the chance to be reparented, that never got the love or support or communication or compassion that they needed. So when we're talking about destructive behaviors, the reason why these patterns, these behaviors are so strong is that the inner child is older than the evolved adult. So you being an adult, or however old you are at this point in time, your inner child, that wound or that rupture has been online and operating for much longer than you have been an adult. Because let's say if you're 27, right? And this wound has been going on and has been operating for the last 10 years, that wound is older than any new knowledge that you've acquired about being an adult. So those patterns, those destructive behaviors can override a lot of the things that we consciously know and understand, even as evolved adults. So with healing your inner child, it comes down to understanding that your inner child is trying to get their needs met. When you were a kid, your needs were met by your parents. When you were a kid, your needs were also not met by your parents. Your emotional needs, your spiritual needs, your needs for compassion, your need for attention. Sometimes those needs were not met by your caretakers. So instead of learning how to internally self-soothe and internally resource to give yourself that to meet that need yourself, that inner child is now saying, okay, well, if I need this, I need to get it somehow. I need to do something that is going to get this need met because I'm hurt. And that's where you get, passive aggressive behaviors. That's where you get manipulation. That's where you get a lot of mental abuse. It's because someone is trying to meet an internal need externally. They're trying to get a need met by someone else because they do not know how to give it to themselves. So when we're talking about reparenting the inner child, we are really talking about fulfilling your own needs internally. Because number one, the only way that something is going to be sustainable, the only way that you are going to sustainably have whatever need that your inner child needs met is if you give it to yourself, because you are the constant in the situation. wherever you go, there you are. You are the only one who will consistently be around to meet the needs of your inner child. If you put meeting your needs on your parents, on your partner, on your siblings, on your job, you are consistently going to be let down because you are the only constant in your life, right? Oh, something else that is a part of the inner child is the protector. Because the inner child is small, the inner child is scared, the inner child is hurt. In order to protect that inner child from getting hurt even more, we have a protector. So let's say as a child, you opened up to a parent and they told you that you shouldn't cry. Crying is weak and that they didn't want to hear it. Your inner child is going to say, I reached for love, I reached for compassion, and I was not met with that. So now, in order to get love and to get compassion, I'm going to play victim. Because no one wants to hurt the victim. No one's going to tell the victim that they're weak, right? So now this victim mentality is being recruited to protect this inner child that reached for love and reached for compassion and didn't get it when they needed it. So in order to get that love and compassion going forward, this victim mentality is going to step in to make sure that inner child doesn't get hurt anymore and to get that love and compassion that the inner child needs. And because we fall into this subconscious pattern of going into victim mentality to protect ourselves, we never learn how to give ourselves love and compassion. Because for the remainder of our lives, instead of self-soothing, instead of internally resourcing, we step right into victim mentality because that is what has protected us for many, 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 many years. Now, in order to heal the inner child, you do not have to remember your entire childhood. Like it's not it's not a requirement to remember your entire childhood to heal your inner child. What we need to do when we want to heal the inner child is understand what are the needs that are not being met. You can look at your behaviors now in the present moment and pinpoint when I do this destructive behavior, when I do this thing that I want to change, that I want to step out of, what need am I trying to get met? When I talk over other people, when I interrupt people when they're speaking, what need am I trying to get met? Is it the need of feeling seen? Feeling as though I deserve to be seen? Feeling as though I am important enough to be seen? When I am hyper competitive over a game of goldfish, what need am I trying to meet? Is it the need of feeling worthy, of feeling loved, of feeling like I'm good enough? When I avoid confrontation, when I shut down emotionally, when I'm speaking to someone, what need am I trying to get met? Is it the need of being in control? Is it the need of feeling safe? Is it the need of feeling emotionally stable? What is the behavior that you want to change? What is the need that behavior is trying to meet? And how can you internally resource? How can you give yourself the medicine? How can you meet that need without going into the destructive behavior? That is the formula for healing the inner child. What is the behavior? What is the need? How can you give that need to yourself? When you're doing this work, what you need to understand, what you need to do is have so much patience, so much love, and so much compassion for yourself. because this is very, very deep shit. Okay. These are wounds and traumas and ruptures that you have been carrying around for most of your life. And it is going to take a minute for you to heal, for you to create the connection to yourself, to these wounds, to your inner children, because you have many inner children, that will allow yourself to heal, that will allow yourself to give yourself the need that you have been craving for so long. It's time for you to step up. You have to be the parent. You have to say, okay, I'm listening. I am listening. I am here for you. It's your turn. No more blaming it on mommy. No more blaming it on daddy. There's a quote that I absolutely love, and I think Jen Sincero said it in one of her books. It's not your fault that you're fucked up. It's your fault if you stay fucked up. Okay? So it's time for you to step up and be the parent. Yeah? Now, tying this into human design, what I have found is that when it comes to inner child wounds, when it comes to needs that were not met in childhood, a lot of these needs and traumas stem from our undefined centers. So when you're doing this work, if you want to have a little bit of insight and awareness through human design, look at your undefined centers. Look at your undefined centers, look at the non-self themes for those centers, and see if you have a need in any of those areas. See if there's a little bit of a rupture, a little bit of a wound that you may have experienced that's causing you to act out in a destructive way to protect yourself in those specific areas. So that is it for this video. I highly, highly encourage you to just be gentle with yourself. This does not need to happen overnight. It will not happen overnight, and that is okay. Okay? So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.